Revealed, the heartwarming moment a millionaire single dad discovered a life-changing connection. Jack was a self-made millionaire, playing hardball in the bustling streets of Chicago. He was a man of ambition, a fierce protector of his daughter, Emma, or so he thought. As he sat in his high-end office, the city skyline framing his window, he barely noticed the emptiness in his own home. At 42, his success had become both his badge of honor and a wall separating him from the emotional life he had promised himself he would build for Emma. She was bright, but loneliness painted shadows under her eyes, far too often left unsaid amidst the glow of his achievements. One summer afternoon, a subtle spark ignited in Emma. She decided to volunteer at the local community center, dreaming of finding some warmth in the bustling, chaotic world beyond her father's stacks of paperwork and board meetings. There, among the laughter of children and the hum of community life, she met Sarah, a daring single mother battling against financial woes but bursting with love for her son, Ethan. In Sarah's spirit, Emma felt the spark of connection she'd been missing. Meanwhile, Ethan was struggling. His grades faltered under the weight of expectation and fear. When he revealed his longing for a mentor, Jack's world collided with theirs, though reluctantly. Initially, he saw tutoring as just another chance to spread his influence, but pulling Ethan from behind those academic walls dug deeper than he anticipated. As he worked with Ethan, Jack noticed a different kind of reality. The boy's struggles weren't just numbers on a graded paper, they were worries that flowed down into his home life, and Jack found himself staring into a mirror reflecting a different kind of wealth, one not measured by bank balances. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jack poured his heart into Ethan's education, he and Sarah began to bond over their shared struggles. They exchanged parenting stories late into the nights, laughter mingling with sighs of worry. But as things were looking up, Jack's privilege began to stir waters that had calmed. Social walls crumbled as misunderstandings sprouted from his condescending gestures, echoing doubt in Sarah's mind about whether they belonged in the same world. Meanwhile, tension between Jack and Emma peaked during a heated argument. Emma's voice shattered across the silence of their home, her fierce words forcing Jack to reassess everything he held valuable. That day, he understood that the wealth he chased was meaningless without his daughter's love and presence. As Jack wrangled with the ache of choice, a sudden crisis emerged in the community that shook everything. Lives were at stake, and Jack found his heart pounding harder than ever. Would he retreat to his luxury, or leap into the fray, willing to risk it all? Whatever he decided would not only redefine his bond with Emma but also determine the future of every heartfelt connection he'd built with Sarah and Ethan. In the thick of that life-altering moment, the air crackled with uncertain possibilities. Jack stood at the crossroads, teetering between fear and hope. Would he remain alone in his gilded cage, or could he dare to reach out, truly reach out where love, connection, and true success awaited? Jack's breath caught in his throat as the weight of the community's crisis sank in. News of the local youth center facing closure due to funding cuts struck like a lightning bolt through his chest. Emma's laughter, the faces of Ethan and Sarah, the energy he felt when helping others, it all surged to the forefront of his mind. This was not just another outreach program, it was a lifeline for these kids, for Emma, for so many families like his own that needed a source of support and connection. He stood transfixed, adrenaline coursing through him. How could he sit back and allow this precious place to vanish? For too long, he had been anchored to his boardroom, holed up in ivory towers, disconnected. Yet now, the world outside hummed louder, filling him with urgency. "Dad!" Emma's voice sliced through his thoughts as she burst into his office, her face bright and blazing. "Did you hear? The community center is in trouble. If we don't mobilize, kids like Ethan won't have anywhere to go." Jack nodded, the corner of his mouth twitching upward at her fervor. It was a spark he hadn't noticed for too long. This passion, this need to fight, mirrored his recent awakening. I heard, Emma. And I think we need to do something. What do you mean? She leaned closer. Her eyes widened with hope. We could organize a fundraiser, he suggested, his heart racing. We have resources, connections. We can rally people who care. We'll show the community that we stand with them. Really? You mean it? Emma's face glowed with eagerness. Yes, he affirmed, feeling the shadows lifting. This was the beginning. Let us not just save the center, let us make it popular. Engage more kids, create programs that matter. Emma dashed to the other side of the desk, wrapping her arms around him tightly. This hug felt different, charged with understanding. Her joy was infectious, sparking something in Jack that had slumbered for a long time. As they talked through plans, brainstorming potential activities and how to enlist help, Jack noticed Sarah at the door, listening intently. Her expression held surprise mixed with something else, curiosity, maybe a glimmer of hope. He waved her in, feeling a pull to involve her, to bridge their worlds. Come in, Sarah. We're planning a fundraiser to save the center. Would you help us? He asked, his tone more inviting than it had been before. She stepped in slowly, her brows raised. You really want to do this? Yes, he replied, hands on the desk. It felt good to commit to something bigger than himself. Together. The three of us. The sense of camaraderie warmed the space between them. Slowly, Sarah nodded. I'd love to help. They spent the next hour devising plans and mapping out ideas, laughter echoing against the office walls. As Jack shared stories about his own childhood, Sarah opened up about her dreams for Ethan. They were melting away the walls that had separated them, brick by brick, revealing a shared mission pulsing at the heart of their lives. Through it all, Jack became acutely aware that this wasn't merely about raising funds, it was a way to reconnect with his own purpose, to be present where it mattered most. He felt alive and invigorated, pushing aside fears of rejection or inadequacy, but as they sketched ambitious blueprints late into the night, a sudden, unsettling thought gripped Jack. Could his re-engagement have unintended consequences? Could he risk losing the comfort of solitude for deeper connections? As the night deepened, doubts began to swirl in the corners of his mind, whispering questions left unasked. Was he truly prepared for the chaos of community, of partnership? Or would reaching out lead to heartbreak when he least expected it? As he faced Emma and Sarah, two women who had unexpectedly illuminated his world, Jack knew one thing for sure: the road ahead trembled with uncertainty, but it also held the possibility of transformation. What lay beyond that first leap into the abyss of connection? The fundraiser was only the beginning. But was he ready to embrace the challenges of forging real relationships again? The next morning, sunlight streamed through Jack's office window, illuminating the plans pinned to the walls, the colorful sketches created by Emma. Each one told a story of hope, laughter, and new beginnings. He leaned back in his chair, taking a long, deep breath. They had laid the groundwork, but now the real work began. Emma dropped into the chair across from him, bouncing with excitement. Okay, Dad. We have to start calling people. You have so many contacts. Who do you think will contribute? Jack smiled at her enthusiasm. Let us start with the local businesses. They often want to give back to the community. And we'll need volunteers for the day of the event. Emma nodded vigorously. And I can spread the word at school. We can make it a huge event with games, food, and live music. Her voice filled the room, lighting up Jack's heart. The following days flew by in a whirlwind of meetings and phone calls. Jack's calendar was packed, yet every appointment brought a new glimmer of hope. He demobilized several businesses to donate supplies and funds, and local press coverage began to trickle in. With every promise made, the once daunting goal of saving the center became increasingly tangible, but amidst the growing excitement lay a gnawing awareness. He felt the weight of responsibility. This wasn't just an event, it was a lifeline. And the thought of failing sent ripples of anxiety through him. What if it fell flat? What if, despite their efforts, the center still closed its doors? Emma, sensing her father's tension, looked up from her drawings one evening. "You okay, Dad? You seem off." Jack sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Just thinking about everything that could go wrong, I guess. But think about how much good we're doing. All these kids are counting on us," she said, her voice steady. "You're doing amazing things. Just look at how many people want to help already." She was right. He needed to focus on the positive. The community was rallying behind them, eager to support a cause that resonated with so many. Then he remembered Sarah. She had been an unexpected ally in this endeavor, and her dedication was inspiring. He picked up his phone, sending a quick text, "Want to meet and discuss strategies for reaching out to more local donors? Let's grab coffee." She replied almost instantly, "Absolutely. Can we meet at that cafe by the center? I have some ideas I want to run by you." The following day, as they sat down with steaming cups of coffee, Jack felt a sense of camaraderie with Sarah that he hadn't anticipated. Their discussions danced from logistics to visions for the community center's future. It was exhilarating. But as Sarah spoke about her hopes for Ethan and how the center had influenced his life, Jack sensed a deeper connection forming. She revealed dreams he never knew. She held ideas for workshops and programs that had the potential to uplift the whole neighborhood. At that moment, Jack's heart swelled. It was not just a fundraiser, they stood on the precipice of change, building something that could last for years to come. But as he gazed at Sarah, enthusiasm filling her eyes, the inner voice returned. Would this partnership blur the lines of their already complicated lives? That night, while preparing for the next day's meeting with Emma, he grappled with the truth. He was allowing people into his life again, but was he truly ready for the risks of deeper relationships? With every inch he allowed them in, he felt something stir, a combination of fear and exhilarating hope. Jack closed his eyes, trying to calm his racing heart. What if this journey opened paths he hadn't dreamed of? And with that thought, he sank into the comforting embrace of possibilities. In the days leading up to the event, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting internally. Perhaps this newfound connection, both with Sarah and the community, would ultimately redefine him. But as the fundraiser approached, what would those changes mean for him truly when the final countdown began? The day of the fundraiser arrived, buzzing with excitement and nervous energy. Jack stood in front of the community center, glancing at the decorations Emma and her friends had hung. Brightly colored banners fluttered in the breeze, while the smell of barbecue wafted on the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and music. It was a glorious day, yet anxiety gnawed at his stomach. He looked around to see Emma darting between tables, her face a map of sheer joy as she organized games and activities. Her enthusiasm was contagious, yet Jack's chest tightened with the weight of expectation. "It's going to be great, Dad. Just wait and see," Emma called out, her voice bright above the crowd. Jack offered a smile, grateful for her unwavering conviction. As people began to arrive, he spotted Sarah making her way through the throng. She was carrying a basket filled with homemade treats, her eyes sparkling with warmth and determination. Seeing her reminded him of the conversation they had shared over coffee, the shared goals they crafted together. There was a sense of purpose when they spoke, a spark that seemed to ignite every time she was near. "Hey, you," she called, waving. "We've got a big crowd already. Everyone's excited." Jack walked over, and they shared an easy camaraderie as they worked together to set up. But beneath the surface excitement, doubt tugged at him. Was he ready to allow this relationship with Sarah to deepen? "Look at this turnout," Jack said, trying to mask his uncertainty with enthusiasm. Sarah smiled, yet there was a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "And it's only going to get better. You've poured your heart into this. Trust in what you've built for the community. They appreciate it. He nodded, grateful for her reassurance. As they moved through the gathering, Jack felt a building sense of hope, infused by the sincerity of those who showed up to support. Families mingled, children laughed, and the atmosphere shimmered with possibility. But just when Jack felt the tide of confidence rising, a loud crash erupted from the food tent, followed by startled gasps. He turned just in time to see a table topple over, spilling plates and condiments everywhere. Panic flickered through the crowd, casting a shadow over the joyous day they envisioned. Before he could react, Sarah was already at the food tent, rallying people to help clean up. "Come on, everyone. Let us fix this," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. Seeing her take charge filled Jack with a mixture of admiration and fear. There she was, an anchor in the storm, yet he worried about the burden she might carry alongside him. "Should we help?" Emma tugged at Jack's sleeve, her face a mix of excitement and concern. "Let us go," Jack urged, and together they dashed toward the tent. As they helped gather items, he couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was different. How many times in his life had he let fear of failure overshadow the moments that mattered? As they worked, laughter returned, and before long, the table was reset, and the music resumed. A local band struck up a lively tune, and people turned their faces back toward joy. In that moment, Jack felt a rush of gratitude. "This is it, isn't it?" Jack whispered to Sarah, watching families gather for games and food. "It is," she replied, her eyes sparkling. No looking back now. But as the event carried on, the undercurrents of connection between them deepened, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that his life was poised at a brink. Would he open himself up to the possibility of love, knowing the risks involved? And more importantly, now that they had rebuilt this foundation together, could it withstand the tremors of the past? As the sun began to set beyond the horizon, casting a golden glow over the gathering, Jack's heart raced. The moment of truth felt imminent, but were they ready for a potential shift in their already complicated lives? Jack watched as the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting everything with a warm, golden hue. The sounds of laughter and music filled the air, but all he could focus on was Sarah's smile, languid and inviting, across the bustling crowd. Their eyes met frequently, creating fleeting moments of connection that sent a thrill racing through him. "Dad! Can we play the sack race?" Emma's gleeful plea pulled him from his thoughts. She stood clutching a burlap sack, already bubbling with excitement. "Of course. Let us do it." He felt a surge of energy burst through him, mixed with a hint of anxiety. The last lingering doubts faded for a moment as he knelt beside Emma, helping her into the sack, and then jumping in after her. The two of them could barely contain their laughter. With a horn signal, they were off, hopping awkwardly, struggling to keep pace with the other competing pairs. Jack focused on the joy radiating from Emma, the way her laughter echoed in the air, the sunlight dancing around her. It anchored him, reminding him why he was working so hard for this event and, truthfully, for her. As they reached the finish line, breathless and giggling, they stumbled to victory, a small crowd erupting into cheers. Jack felt proud and exhilarated, but his focus quickly shifted to Sarah, who was now clapping and cheering for them. "Great job!" She rushed over, her eyes twinkling. "You two were amazing. Emma, you really kicked your dad's butt out there. Not just any dad. This is a champion dad," Emma declared, her smile lighting up her face. Jack could see how proud she was, and that filled his heart with joy. But as the festivities continued, Jack soon found himself at a crossroads of emotions. Watching Sarah connect effortlessly with the crowd, he couldn't help but admire her strength. Yet, with each passing moment, doubt lingered like an unwanted guest. Would his past keep him from giving this potential relationship the attention it deserved? "Can I talk to you for a second?" he asked Sarah, taking a step aside to a quieter corner. Her eyes widened with curiosity and concern, and she nodded, following him. "What is going on?" she asked, crossing her arms as if to brace for his answer. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what he was about to say. I need to make sure I'm ready for this. For us. I don't want to mess anything up. She studied him, sensing the turmoil beneath his words. You're not alone in this. We're building something good here, Jack. Just take a leap of faith. Her support filled him with warmth, yet the fear of vulnerability tightened his chest. He wanted more, but was he really prepared for what that meant? Before he could respond, Emma rushed over, cheeks flushed and eyes bright. Dad! Come dance with me. Sure. He chuckled nervously, grateful for the distraction. As they twirled and moved to the beat, Jack felt the moment shift again. Embarrassment crept in along with the realization that love required risk, something he avoided for too long. He glanced at Sarah, who stepped forward to join them, her laughter melding with the rhythm, pulling him back into the joy of the day, but deep down, uncertainty lurked, whispering questions like shadows. Was he really capable of letting someone in? And what if he hurt those he cared about again? As the night thickened and the gathering buzzed around him, he found himself standing at the edge of a new chapter, one tinged with hope and trepidation. With the music swelling and the stars appearing in the darkening sky, realization struck him like lightning. In this roller coaster of emotions, the next step wasn't just about the fundraiser, it was about embracing possibility, paving a way for love. What if embracing this felt less like a risk and more like an adventure? He pondered, watching Sarah across the dance floor. Then, out of nowhere, a loud crack echoed, followed by a gasp from the crowd. Jack's heart sank. Something had gone wrong once more, and he could barely prepare himself for what awaited. Amidst the revelry, the crack shot through the air like a bullet. The vibrant sounds of laughter faded, replaced by an ominous silence. Jack's instincts kicked in, a primal urge to protect those he loved overwhelming his uncertainty. He turned sharply, anxiously scanning the crowd for Emma. Emma! He called, a sense of urgency in his voice. His heart raced as he spotted her, still laughing but now looking around, confused. He moved toward her, urgency fueling every step. Let us get away from the crowd, okay? He knelt beside her, taking her hand. Together, they started to draw back, toward the safety of the main tent. But the cheers had died, replaced by murmurs of concern. What was that noise? Emma asked, wide-eyed. I don't know, sweetie, but it's okay. Just stay close to me, Jack reassured her. His protective instincts surged. Behind him, a small group of people had started to gather near the stage. Jack's eyes locked on Sarah as she held her hand to her mouth, her expression a mixture of fear and curiosity. She seemed to be trying to decipher what had happened. Just as Jack made his way toward her, an announcer stepped up to the microphone on stage. Everyone, please remain calm. His voice echoed but didn't quite reach Jack, who was now bolting past festival booths and tables to get to Sarah. There was a slight accident. We are assessing it now. Jack reached Sarah, breathless and uneasy. Is everyone okay? He asked, urgently scanning her face for reassurance. She nodded, though her eyes reflected a worry that was hard to shake. They say it was just a fault in one of the decorations, some fireworks went off too soon. No one is hurt. Relief washed over him, but the panic in his chest still thudded heavily. That's good, just scary. He noticed Emma clutching his leg tightly, her small fingers trembling. Emma, it's all fine. No worries, okay? Can we go home? Emma asked, her voice small. Not yet, let us stay a little longer, Jack replied softly, knowing the night had been so special for her. But we'll keep an eye on things, promise. Sarah squeezed his arm, grounding him further. Let us go find a spot where we can see the fireworks up close, okay? It will be fun. An infectious excitement bubbled in her voice, trying to break through the lingering fear. Emma nodded tentatively, her fear lessening under the encouragement of Sarah's bright spirit. They made their way toward the front of the crowd, where a small clearing revealed the sky above, framed by twinkling stars. The air crackled with anticipation. Jack held Emma while Sarah stood closely beside them, her smile brightening the dimming atmosphere. As colorful explosions lit up the sky, a roar of applause erupted from the crowd around them. Jack turned to see Emma's eyes glowing with wonder, pulling him into the moment they all needed. "Look, Dad. They're beautiful," she exclaimed, beaming as vibrant colors danced through the night. Jack swallowed hard, heart swelling. It was a reminder that amidst the chaos, there was beauty, joy, and love right in front of him. He glanced at Sarah, who had taken a step back so that she could see the fireworks too. This connection felt like a paradox, terrifying yet exhilarating. With the radiance illuminating their faces, Jack's heart tightened with a realization. Maybe love wasn't just a risk after all. Maybe it was a light in the darkness that could guide him home. Just as he pondered it, a low rumble started again, this one more ominous than before. Jack looked up, confusion coursing through him as he wondered what might unfold next. He gripped Emma a little tighter, envisioning the challenges that lay ahead. Would he be brave enough to step fully into this unpredictable journey? As the fireworks sputtered then dissolved, filling the air with smoke and sparks, the lingering question remained: was he ready to seize the love he desperately wanted, or would fear push him into the shadows once more? The rumble grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath Jack's feet. The bright bursts of color in the sky momentarily faded behind a hazy curtain of smoke. Overhead, the last fireworks fizzled out in a whisper, yet an unsettling tension lingered in the air. Jack's heart thudded heavily against his ribs as he scanned the crowd once more. What had started as a joyous celebration had shifted into a cloud of unease. "Stay close, Emma," he urged, feeling the weight of her small hand in his. "To see more fireworks, right?" she asked, trying to lighten the mood, her innocence floating above their uncertainty. "Sure, let us find a better spot," Jack replied, forcing a smile despite the pit of worry in his stomach. The happiness that had filled Emma's eyes was worth every effort. Before they could move deeper into the crowd, the announcer's voice returned, shaky but urgent. "We need you to remain calm and orderly. We're experiencing some logistical issues due to safety protocol." His words hung in the air, thickening the tension. Jack felt Sarah's proximity as she whispered, "What does that even mean?" "It means we need to stick together and be patient," he replied, hoping each word carried a soothing note for both the girls. As they began to inch back toward the edge of the crowd, Jack's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. A text from his colleague, something about a potential issue at work, snagged his attention. Somehow it felt like a distraction from the gathering storm. "Daddy?" Emma's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Can we go home now? Please?" Her eyes shimmered with that blend of uncertainty and hope. His heart ached listening to her. Here they were, in a moment that should have sparkled with wonder, yet she felt the shadows creeping in. "We'll head out soon, I promise. Just a little longer." Suddenly, there was a commotion up ahead. The crowd began to push backward, like a wave retreating from an unseen force. Jack's instincts flared. "We need to move," he shouted, urgency filling his voice. Jack grasped Emma's hand tightly, with Sarah behind him, guiding them through the throng. People were starting to panic, murmuring about the loud noise and shadows dancing in the edges of the festival grounds, as if their collective worry summoned something darker. "Keep your eyes on me, Emma," Jack urged, his focus locked ahead. He could feel the heat rising around them, a mixture of fear and urgency heated by chaos. Still, just as he felt a tightening grip of fear, Jack caught a glimpse of something bright, the warm light of a nearby food stall flickering in the dusk. It reminded him of simpler times. "Let us head over there," he said, directing them away from the gathering tension, where they could catch a breath. Just as they stepped aside, the thrumming in the air shifted again. "I can't believe this is happening," Sarah breathed out, her gaze fixed on the crowd as they turned uneasy, trying to make sense of breaking energy that pulsed among them. In that moment, fear and unexpected camaraderie knitted between them, a bond deepening even in uncertainty. Jack watched as Emma's face crinkled in uncertainty, but also something else: courage. "Do you want to grab a pretzel or ice cream first?" Jack asked, trying to coax some laughter from her. "Sugar makes everything better, right?" Emma's brightening expression drew a partial smile from Sarah. "Oh, definitely. And then donuts." Jack felt a surge of gratitude for these moments, the tender fills of unexpected light during a dark storm. As they turned to search for snacks in the chaos, Jack's heart raced. Would they find a way to navigate the night, or would the shadows of worry consume them? Behind them, the rumble transformed into a sharper sound, a crack, a shout. Jack's gut twisted. Was the night really going to go from bad to worse? "Guys, let us hurry," he urged as their laughter faded, leaving behind an echo of uncertainty. What awaited them just beyond the noise? Jack pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding as he tightened his grip on Emma's hand. The joyous sounds that had once filled the air now seemed distant, overshadowed by rising panic. Around them, people rushed toward the exits, eyes wide with fear. Jack couldn't help but think about how quickly everything had changed. One moment, they were basking in the glow of fireworks, and the next, they were caught in a surge of anxiety. "Stay close," he called out, scanning the faces around him. Most were strained, some weeping, and others shouting to one another. In contrast, Emma remained steadfast, her small hand gripping his tightly. He swore he could feel her determination in that squeeze. "Look, Daddy!" she exclaimed, pointing ahead. "There's the pretzel stand." He felt a flash of warmth at her excitement, but it was quickly overshadowed by the reality of their situation. "We'll get a pretzel, but let us just stay focused first," he replied, shooting a glance back at Sarah. They all needed to keep moving. As they neared the stand, the scent of warm pretzels tangled with the sharp smell of smoke in the air. Jack could see the vendor's frantic movements as he served the few customers who hadn't yet fled. Jack's stomach growled, a reminder that despite the chaos, needs still existed. "Do you want the big one or the small one?" Jack asked Emma, forcing a smile, trying to reclaim at least a semblance of normalcy. "Big. With cheese," she shouted, jumping a little. "All right, one big pretzel with cheese," Jack said to the vendor, who nodded and quickly wrapped it up. Just as he handed over the money, the crowd surged again. A loud crash echoed through the festival grounds, flooding Jack with a sense of urgency so powerful it nearly knocked him off balance. "Jack!" Sarah's voice was sharp, cutting through the confusion. "We have to go, now." He turned, looking back. Fear gripped him tight. He had wanted this moment to be special, a night to remember. Instead, it felt like a nightmare creeping closer. "Did you see what happened?" "No time," Sarah shouted, grabbing Emma's hand. "Just keep moving." Jack felt the world start to blur around him as they hurried away from the stand. The three of them navigated through the chaos, weaving between families and a scattering of litter. The laughter and chatter from earlier faded, replaced by cries of confusion and alarm. "Keep up with us, Emma," he called, trying to maintain the normalcy in his voice. But deep down, his anxiety was climbing, a tight coil in his chest. The last thing he wanted was for Emma to feel his fear. Moments later, the flow of people pushed them toward a fenced-off area near the carnival rides, and suddenly they were squeezed tight, a bottleneck of panic. Jack spotted the park's exit lights flickering in the distance, hope shining through the darkening night. "Over there. Let us move," he yelled, as they got swept into the tide of people headed toward safety. His heart raced with each step. Once outside the main crowd, they slowed to catch their breath. Jack turned to Emma, her cheeks flushed from running, and he felt a pang of sorrow for her innocence, so suddenly thrust into chaos. He knelt down to her level, brushing some hair from her face. Are you okay, sweetheart? I'm scared, Daddy, she whispered, a challenge to her resolve. His heart broke for her. How could he shield her from this? But as he gazed into her eyes, he realized he had to show her strength. I know, Emma. But you're doing so great. Look at you. You're so brave. Let us get out of here, all right? We'll go to your favorite ice cream place. We can make a new memory, just the three of us. Sarah nodded, offering a reassuring smile. Let us find a quiet spot for now. Before Jack could start moving again, a commanding voice filled the air, urgent, cutting through the chaos. Everyone, please stay calm. There's no reason to panic. Jack turned to listen closely. What had they just escaped from? And would they truly be safe now? With a mixture of yearning for clarity and a swirl of questions in his mind, Jack took a deep breath. What awaited them in the darkness ahead? Would they find a way to reclaim their celebration amidst the chaos? Jack stood frozen, his eyes fixed on the flickering exit lights that seemed to dance like distant stars. The sounds around them morphed from frantic shouts to muffled whispers as confusion settled in. He realized that the chaotic thrill of the night had vanished, replaced by an overwhelming unease. Come on, let us go, Sarah urged, pulling gently at Emma's hand. Jack nodded, but his mind was racing. What could have caused such panic? He stole a glance around, catching snippets of conversations. Words like fire, explosion, and suspicious pierced through the air. As they made their way further from the crowd, Jack glanced down at Emma, her laughter still dancing in his memory from just moments before. He wished more than anything that he could give her the sense of safety she needed. Instead, the festival had morphed into a battleground of anxiety, as if joy had been eclipsed by shadows of despair. Daddy, is it over? Emma asked, her little voice trembling. Jack knelt beside her once more, his heartache spilling onto his face as he forced a smile. I think so, Emma. We're safe now, he assured her, even though he wasn't entirely convinced himself. But why are people screaming? She pressed, eyes wide with confusion. He hesitated, struggling to shield her from the weight of harsh realities. Sometimes, when people get scared, they don't know what to do. But we're together, and that's what matters. Moments passed as Sarah scanned the lingering crowd. Let us head to the car. It's quieter there, she suggested. Jack nodded, pushing thoughts of uncertainty aside, focusing instead on Emma's small hand in his, grounding himself in her trust. They wove through the scattered remnants of bright lights now extinguished by fear. Making their way past overturned chairs and abandoned stuffed toys, Jack felt a knot form in his stomach. It was a festival just hours ago, filled with laughter and cheer. Now it felt like a haunted memory. When they finally reached the car, Jack was relieved to see the familiar sight of its silver frame waiting for them. He opened the back door for Emma, who climbed in cautiously as though the world outside might lunge at her. Hey, let us grab that ice cream, okay? He attempted to lighten the mood as he slid into the driver's seat. Emma's lips curled into a small smile, a flicker of hope amidst the situation. With sprinkles? Absolutely, with sprinkles, Jack replied, heartened. Just as he started the car, a flicker of headlights caught his eye in the rearview mirror. He turned around to see a squad car pull up next to them. Officers were quickly spilling out, their faces stern. Anxiety jolted him anew, and he wondered if they had any answers or more bad news. Stay in the car, Jack instructed Emma and Sarah, feeling protective. He pushed the door open and stepped out to meet the officers, swallowed by a sudden wave of uncertainty. Sir, we need to ask a few questions, one of the officers said, the urgency in his voice unmistakable. Jack nodded, trying to summon calm. What happened tonight? Is everyone all right? Jack asked, the words tumbling out in a rush. Before the officer could respond, another series of screams echoed from deeper in the festival grounds. This time, they were full of dread, sending chills down Jack's spine. What's happening? He demanded, Fear seeped into his voice, the officer's expression grew more serious, eyes scanning the scene with a mix of alertness and concern. "We believe there may be more to this than just a simple evacuation." Jack's heart raced. What more could there be? Thoughts of Emma, small and vulnerable, instantly filled his mind. He turned, but it was too late. Emma had already unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door, her small figure heading toward the commotion. "Daddy, I want to see." "No, Emma. Get back!" he shouted, panic morphing into adrenaline as he dashed after her. Would he be able to reach her in time? What awaited them in the chaos? The night was far from over. Jack's heart raced as he lunged toward Emma, a wave of terror washing over him. She was so small, so innocent, caught in a tide of chaos and uncertainty. "Emma! Come back!" he called, his voice shaky but steadying with urgency. He couldn't let fear take hold, not now when everything he worked to build was at stake. Emma paused, shoulders hunched in confusion, but her wide eyes sparkled with a childlike curiosity that cut through his panic. Each step he took toward her felt like a leap through thick mud, but he finally reached her, breathless and desperate. "You need to stay close. We have to go," he said softly but firmly, taking her hand in his. Behind them, the sounds of the crowd surged, frantic whispers mixed with the sharp thud of voices magnified by fear. Jack turned, catching sight of Sarah, whose eyes were glued to Emma with an expression of silent terror. Everything was moving so fast yet felt painfully slow, like time suspended in a terrifying pause. "Sarah!" he shouted, glancing back as he pulled Emma toward the safety of their car, heart pounding in rhythm to the pounding chaos around them. "Let us get out of here." He felt a surge of adrenaline as they dashed toward the rear of the car, grief tugging at the corners of his mind. What if they really didn't make it out? With a deep breath, Sarah held Emma's other hand, anchoring her to them. The crowd twisted behind them, swirling with anxiety and confusion, but together, they pushed forward. "Stick together," Jack called back, voice steadying as they moved. Once inside the car, he quickly glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing the lights of the festival pulsing against the fading twilight. Darkness loomed not just around them, but within him. Could he ever be that protective father holding both his daughter's innocence and the community's hopes in his hands? With trembling fingers, he gripped the steering wheel and put the car in gear. "We're going to get ice cream, okay, Em? You love sprinkles." Jack turned slightly, forcing a smile despite the knots tight in his chest. Emma, still visibly shaken but glimmering with a trace of trust, nodded enthusiastically, smiling back. "Yay! With sparkles!" she exclaimed, each syllable bursting like a firework. Her innocent joy ignited a flicker of warmth in Jack, reminding him why they were fighting for this community, for each other. "Let us find a different route," Jack said, navigating through the tight streets, taking detours that veered them away from the noise. Sarah remained silent, her hand resting on Emma's shoulder like a calming breeze. As they drove, the whir of passing lights began to soothe Jack's racing heart. "You know, I saw a great ice cream shop down by the river. They have everything," he said, filling the air with the possibility of laughter. Emma's excitement bubbled over, finally coaxing out a lingering smirk on Jack's face. "Chocolate chip cookie dough, right? That's your favorite?" she chirped, her gaze flickering between them, eyes full of wonder and relief. The normalcy of her insistence felt like a lifeline for Jack, who understood far too well that once the dust settled, he needed to rebuild, starting with those beautiful smiles. "Absolutely. With extra whipped cream," Jack replied, the energy beginning to shift back into the joyous space they cherished. Suddenly, the squeal of police sirens wailed behind them, a reminder that the chaos lingered in the shadows even as they sought comfort in their embrace of sweetness. Jack's heart sank again, guilt setting in as he recalled the faces they had left behind. Sarah turned toward him, a fierce look igniting her eyes. "Jack, listen," she said, a new strength filling her voice. "We can't hide from this. We have a chance to make a difference. The urgency of her words struck Jack hard. What were they waiting for? He thought of those kids at the center, what they meant to Emma, what they could mean to him if only he had the courage to stay. What if we go back? Jack suggested, gripping the wheel with an intensity born from desperation. We can help organize, show people that everything we built together matters. Fixing this is bigger than just the event, it's about community. Yes. Sarah's smile lit up the dim car. You're absolutely right. We already know we can reach out to the businesses, to the parents. We can bring everyone together to rebuild what was shattered tonight. Jack's spirit soared with the newfound purpose filling the vehicle, spreading warmth over them. This wasn't just about ice cream or the chaos surrounding them. They faced a reality that demanded courage, community, and love. Determined, Jack spun the car around, flipping the headlights toward the howling sirens. Let us show them what we're made of, he declared, voice stronger and more resolute than it had been in ages. It was time to break down walls and embrace connection, no more hiding behind the shadows of past failures. They drove back toward the chaos, hearts swelled with a sense of duty layered with the strength of community. We're in this together, Jack whispered to Emma as they approached the festival entrance. She nodded, a radiant smile on her face even in uncertainty. They could brave this storm as a family. As they burst back into the thrumming pulse of the celebration, optimism mingled with fear of the unknown. Yet Jack felt ready, more than ready. It was time to rise to the challenge. Side by side with Sarah, and most importantly, with Emma, his heart finally steady, Jack knew they would emerge stronger than ever before, their voices unified, ready to share laughter, love, and connection with those they would uplift. The shadows would recede, and in their place, they would build a beacon of hope, illuminating every heart that yearned for companionship. The night might have started with confusion and fear, but it would end in transformation, not just for them, but for everyone who chose courage over retreat. Jack took a deep breath, ready to rebuild, and with it, embrace the life he had longed to create for Emma and the community he vowed to protect. As laughter grew louder, he thought, this is just the beginning, for warmth and connection were blooming, refusing to be extinguished. This was the life Jack had long craved, and he was more than ready to embrace it. Now, as you feel the hope surging through this journey, it's time to stand with us. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now, because this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the power of connection. Let us keep the light shining bright.